Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. Let's talk about why men are leaving the United States and becoming passport bros. So passport bros has become something very prominent in the past few years, and for very good reason, in my opinion. I'm not one of these guys who like shits on guys for going overseas or tries to say that it's like a cope. I don't think it is. And let me explain, because there's a lot of reasons why guys leave the United States, and it's not just because of dating, right? So let me explain something. Your degree of retaining a woman is to the extent that you are able to provide resources, right? So guys, I think, understand on a deep logical level that if I'm not willing to really go the full mile, run the extra mile here in the US when it comes to my income, then my odds of having a fulfilling relationship with a woman who loves, admires, and respects me is probably not as likely as it might be in another place, right? Because the women here, like I said, are very egotistical. They have super high standards, outrageous standards for a lot of men. And I think guys are catching on to it, and guys are really weighing the costs and accepting that it just maybe not be best for them. Like, hey, I don't really want to be a multimillionaire who, you know, like, basically, I feel like guys look at it like, hey, I have to be like a corporate CEO or an executive or someone who makes like an absurd amount of money to be able to get these women here. And it's true to some extent. Now, obviously, there's other reasons why guys don't get the women they want. It's not just financial. It could be their looks, it could be their game, their awkwardness. But in general, I think that a lot of guys realize that if the money isn't going to be something that they're going to be able to attain right here in the U.S., then why stay, right? Why stay here and deal with the women here that are super egotistical, they're arrogant, they're crass, they're annoying, they have super high standards, right? They're masculine as hell, combative. So that's really on the dating side of it. And then from a financial perspective, you got to look at places like Colombia, Philippines, Thailand, all these countries, right, that are lower on the socioeconomic status compared to the United States. I think guys look at it like, okay, why am I going to sit here and work a full-time job in the US, in the United States, right? Bust my ass, you know, just to barely make ends meet at the end of the month, right? Work 40 hours a week, you know, at a medium to low-wage job, right? And at the end of the month, I have no income. I have no extra money. The women here are a pain in the ass, right? You know, and it's like, when you add those two factors in, I think guys are like, you know what? I'd rather go live for $700 or $1,000 a month, and, you know, for a year or two, and start my own business online or work remotely. Like, think of how much better. You know, I'm not saying I'm opposed to it either. You know, obviously I have a family and I have my girlfriend here. I have a decent job, so I'm not so bought on leaving. You know, I may change my mind in a few years depending on, you know, God forbid my girlfriend leaves me or something happens, but I'm not so bought on the United States as a long-term solution for men, right? And it's not to say that this country sucks. It's not to say that you can't make it here, or there's, you know, I'm not trying to make excuses for why guys aren't able to be successful here. But at the same time, it's like, think about it. If you're a guy and you're single, right? You have no kids. Maybe you don't really have a great relationship with your parents. They're not, you know. What's the need to stay here if you're just going to have to work 40 hours a week at a shit job, right? Just to barely pay the rent, or not even have enough to pay rent. And now you just got to live with your parents till you're freaking 30. That's no future that a guy dreams of. You think men right now, ages between 18 and like 24, are thinking, you know, working for 40 hours just to barely pay my rent or just to live with my parents till I'm 35 is a freaking viable and happy, like, idea? Like, that sucks. That's fucking terrible, right? So if you're someone who's like, hey man, you know, I can go overseas and, you know, live maybe a little over 1,000 or a little under 1,000 a month, then why not do that? Because I don't have to deal with all the garbage in corporate America. I don't have to deal with living, paycheck to paycheck. I don't have to deal with having fucking $5 at the end of the month, right? And I can go, right? I can work remotely, and I can have some degree, I can have more freedom. I can have a larger degree of freedom in a different country because I'm not busting my ass working 70 hours just to barely have any money at the end of the month, right? So, and yes, you could argue about safety and danger and laws in different countries. Obviously, there's the downside in that degree to some extent, depending on the laws, right? So I'm not saying it's all sunshine and rainbows here either. But at the end of the day, right, if the women are more feminine, if they have a better perception of American men, right, if they're not entitled to have the, best and they're more friendly, right, I don't blame guys. I don't blame guys at all. And I don't think it's cope. I don't think it's making excuses. I don't think it's any of that. I just think, why have to go through all the garbage? Why have to go through garbage or walk through a pile of shit if you can just walk? You don't have to walk through the pile of shit. You can just freely walk without any garbage in your face. Think about it, right? Would you walk by a pile of shit, or would you walk away from the pile of shit so you don't have to smell it? Come on, man. It's and that's a metaphor, but it's think about it, right? You can bypass a lot of the garbage that is set up here. And like I said, the United States is a flawed country in many degrees. It's a great country in many degrees, but as far as what we're talking about, I think that when you combine all of those things together, when you combine the women problem here, and you combine the financial problem here, and you combine the lack of options for men, it's hard to get by in corporate America. It's hard to succeed in corporate America as a white straight male. It's hard to date women here, right? For every man, right? Not just white men, but every man. And when you combine that together, that's what gives men their purpose. Men don't want to sit inside all day and just live with their parents till they're 35 and play video games and watch porn. That's bullshit, right? That's a depressing life. And I really feel like that's what's becoming the norm here in the US as of late. Guys are literally living with their parents till they're 30 because they have no other choice. They have no job options, right? They're single, right? And they just opt in to play video games for the rest of their life, right? For their prime years, 25 to 50, right? I would say guys are just playing video games for the most, not every guy, but you get what I'm trying to say. That's what is becoming more normal here. And I think that, and here's the thing too, right? As a passport bro or someone who leaves for a bit of time, you don't have to leave forever. You can leave for 6 months. You can leave for a year, 2 years. You'll have a lot more free time, a lot less stress, a lot less sleep deprivation. And think about it too. Another thing, that brings up health. Think of all the, and I'm sure that there's garbage food everywhere. I'm not just saying it's here, but think of all the garbage food. Think of all the, the toxic compounds in the air in our cities and everything. Now, obviously, there's cities in every country, but when it comes to your sleep and your stress, working a laborious job, working with terrible people, working with shitty coworkers, that's stressful, right? And then, if you have to wake up early, you're already shot on sleep for the day, and you're doing that 5 days a week, every week, month after month, year after year. It's guys just don't want to do that shit, right? And it's why do that if you don't have to? So I do support the passport movement. I think it's a good idea. I mentioned it in my video, 3 Ways Men Can Escape Corporate Jobs, and I think that that's a really good option. I don't think it's something to be frowned upon by, and I think a lot of guys frown upon it. And like I said, I don't agree with that. I think it's a good idea, and I think it's something that you can do. Maybe you don't want to leave the US. Maybe you like it here, but you just want to create some degree of, you want to create some breathing room. Sometimes it's hard to have breathing room here with the amount of work you have to do and the amount of stress you have to deal with. It's hard to just have a sense of relief from the constant financial stress, the constant stress of being alone, the constant stress of dealing with crappy women and flaky women. It's annoying, man. It really is annoying. So I don't think it's a bad idea if guys want to do that for a couple years, get a business off the ground, or just do it forever. Shit, if you like it, if you like those countries, if you like the vibe, if you like the way of life over in those countries, then stay, right? So I'm just presenting that as an idea, and I'm making a case for it. I'm not going to be one of these guys who shits on you if you leave or say you're cope or you make excuses. No, I think it's a good idea. And I think every guy should do it if you can, and if your life circumstances are set up for you to succeed in that degree. So yeah, guys, that's it. That's all. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. And as always, I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.